Good day, fellow champions of inclusion. I'm A. Ron, and this is the Inclusive Dad podcast, where we explore inclusion and make it practical. Thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule to join me in exploring ways we can create a more inclusive world together. You are important, you matter, and you can make a difference. Today, my guest is Mary McDirmid. Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me, Aaron.
Absolutely. Did I pronounce your last name correctly?
You did, yeah,
Okay,
you
because
got it.
I usually ask and then I didn't. I was like, oh crap, I hit the record. Now I
Oh,
gotta
you're
go for
good,
it.
you're good. Yeah, you're awesome.
Awesome. Why don't you just start us off by just telling us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah. So, I'm in the Star Wars generation, so I was born in '81. No, I'm just joking. So my introduction into this world, was through, my daughter Ruth. She is 9 right now, and I, was pregnant with her when I became a financial planner. And so my road into this is like, I want all the things for her in general and all that comes with that, but also, um, I want to help families like ours do the planning that they need, which became, um, really obvious that people were coming towards me once we were really open that we were in the NICU, that she had a rare disease, that this was what was going on with us. We were very public with it. So then people started coming towards me. I raised my hand and asked, like, how do I do this planning? And then so that was about 10 years ago. So ever since then, those are the only families we help. And I always like to make sure I'm telling this as a perspective of a parent for her. Like, I'm not speaking for her. If she wants to talk about this later, I want her to have the opportunity. And then I just happen to have a Rolodex of other opinions about things from all of the parent caregivers that we have in our client base. So I always try to balance between like, hey, this is my personal opinion, and then this is what I've heard from others. And I love the intro that you have because I think um, defining inclusion might it's also very hard, but it might be the easiest part of, like, in actuality, what does that look like? I think to me is what I was thinking about this morning, like, truly, how do you make it happen in the public for most people? I think is really, really hard.
Yeah, thank you for the introduction.
Yeah.
Well, do you want to give a shot at what is your definition of inclusion? If you have to
I'll
define it?
try. I'll do my best.
Yeah.
I have a couple sentences, but I don't wanna take I want it I'm very edited human, so I want it to be, like, actually, like, workable, but the high level, I said it's we have similarities and differences, right? So how do we respect the tension between it for all of us? So we could have some similarities. We have lilacs blooming right now in both of our places, but we might have tension between other things that we're going to talk about today. But I still think you're awesome. How do we do that in a respectful way? And then, like in practicality, I think it's equal opportunity. So marginalized groups have been left out in certain things. And how do we ensure they have an invite? And then that invite comes with a choice. So you get to go or not, right? But the invite's there. And so how do we make sure that equal opportunity is provided?
Yeah, those are great. I can tell you put some thought into it. I appreciate it.
Yeah, it's hard. It's a really hard question. I love it. I love hard questions, but I was like the high level is that tension between our similarities and differences, and everybody's going to have them. So how do we as a world acknowledge that and then like work through it together?
Yeah, I love that. 'Cause a couple weekends ago, my partner and I, we went up to we live in Minnesota, so went up to the Twin Cities area and went to a conference. It's called Exiles in Babylon, put on by Theology in the Raw podcast, Preston Sprinkle, and it was all about having these conversations about, tough subjects like immigration, mental health, or different things based on like biblical views of it. But they had people there from a couple of the things they call them dialogical debates, I think. So it's like two people who have some similar beliefs, probably, but some that aren't. And then, watching them have like, conversations where they respected each other, were able to have, have differences and talk through without yelling and screaming or, becoming upset. It was very nice to be in that space and have, people with different ideas, different beliefs talking with one another and modeling like how we can do that since a lot of the stuff now is just not that way. So it was nice to have that space where it was happening.
Yeah, I mean, everybody has differences and we can all hold a lot of tensions and disagree, but like commenting on the interwebs is the easy way out. But like me looking you in the eye and actually being like, oh man, Aaron, I appreciate your opinion. This is how it affects me. And I'm not trying to change your mind. I just want you to know.
Yeah, I love
Like,
that.
I don't think I'm in the camp of changing people's minds, but I am in the camp of being like, this is a different perspective. You can take it. That'd be great.
Yeah, and I love that about doing the podcast is I just love meeting different people, getting, different perspectives. I've had people on. I grew up Baptist, so there's a specific, stuff I was taught as a kid, and then you come across somebody that like approaches one of those subjects differently, and I just truly like, how does your brain get to that? Because I grew up this way and my brain's this way, so how do we? So I just enjoy like those conversations, learning from people, and how they get to that spot from using the same verses or different same textbooks or something. So it's kind of interesting.
Yeah, and I think there is like a curiosity muscle we gotta flex, and probably we don't assume positive intent as much as we used to. So I think those two too could hold some space of being like, oh, I wonder why he has a spam cam back there. Like my brain's always like, I'm checking out the scene and I want to ask questions. And I'm gonna be like, of course Aaron wants to have me on here. This is gonna be a great conversation. Until I'm proven wrong, right? And then you could see a different version. But like I want to be curious and I want to assume positive intent until I'm I'm proven wrong. And hopefully that doesn't.
Yeah. So is your brain like mine when you're driving around, you see something and then you're like, I wonder what this is, and then like you're like, Aaron, that sign it has that color. Like I'm never gonna figure it out. Why is my brain like taking up these 5 seconds to figure it out? Does your brain do the same thing?
100%. Like, there's something happening in Spokane where, like, when a business, like, somebody goes out of business, but the sign is still there, like, the building's gone, and I'm like, "Do we have a sign ordinance? Like, you have to get a permit to take a sign down?" Like, what is happening? Yes, yes. It's like a choose your own adventure book in
Yeah.
my brain where I'm like, "Yeah, but look at that," and then sometimes I gotta, like, shut that whole thing like, that is exhausting,
Yeah.
as I'm sure you endure, but, like, sometimes you're gonna be like, "I'm just gonna listen to this podcast enough to drive home so I'm not, like, completely distracted by the world." Yes, yes, I am like
Awesome.
that.
I watched your TEDx talk. How was that experience? I could tell you were very emotional when you did it.
Yeah, it's so long ago, it seems like a lifetime ago now, I'm glad it's like a time capsule in time of how I really felt because I definitely felt all the things I felt in that time. I kinda wanna redo. I think we're actually pitching, I think, another one so I could kind of, like, give an update, I guess, because I'm not in that trauma, fight or flight, everything is that level of serious anymore as I was then. But that was, one of the first very public, like, "This is our life" talks that I did, and I really wish I couldn't have held my notes, but they were, like, my security blanket to get through it because I didn't wanna get lost, and I do really have thoughtfulness around, um that was my story and not Ruth's, and that is emotional for me, but I didn't want the emotion to take over the message. That was the hardest part for me, I think, because it was always gonna be emotional, but I don't want that to like, I wanted the message to be like, "This is hard for a lot of us. You can do this." Like, just keep taking the next step, the next right step. Just keep taking it. But it was very difficult.
Yeah, I've done 2, and the first one I did, I don't even it's over 10 years ago, and I was in our hometown, and I shared a lot of stuff that happened in our hometown that I'd never spoken out loud before in front of people, so it was very emotional for me too. So it was probably one of the best experiences of my life. It was just, I don't know, it just got a lot of stuff out, felt better afterwards. But it was, yeah, definitely when you're talking about your life and about stuff happening that's happened to your child, or it's very emotional. But it was interesting. It was fun. So yeah,
Yeah, that's what I mean, like, I'm great it's captured.
yeah,
It's just different. Our life
yeah,
is a little different now, so
yeah.
it's, yeah, yeah.
Why don't do you want to maybe talk about like, maybe what you do, like what's financial planning
Yeah.
for, parents that have a child with a disability and kind of let's a little bit about what that is?
Yeah, so we're big thing, and I'm in Spokane, Washington. I have 2 partners, they're in Virginia, so we kind of intentionally can cover all time zones. But we were running similar practices and then decided to join together. But our whole mission, one, I would love to make things just so much simpler for families. Like the systems, we all know them, are very challenging, let's say, in a very nice way. So we are trying to give all of our clients' kids a great life. And if they are on benefits, keep them benefit eligible. We can stay under a certain asset limit for them to be on those systems, and the 2 places we can put funds are an ABLE and a special needs trust, right? Very top level, very, very crayon top level version. Now, once you dig into every aspect of that, how are we really gonna do this, right? And so, I think from a lot of our clients, we're trying to support another person, through our working years, our retirement years, and then what's the bucket gonna be like? To leave after we're gone. And I think most parents come to us with like, who's going to take my spot is the real question. So continuation of care and the continuation of finance are our big, big, hairy goals. So we have clients all across the age spectrum, right? So we have people coming in where they have a 3-year-old and we do baby planning because you know what I want you to do? Enjoy your child. Like it's intense from that TED Talk. It's a lot. And so like I want some baby planning. And then we have managed the trust where the parents are no longer in this world and we're helping that team make sure that that person's taken care of with the supports that they need. So um I mean, my day is very like we just talked about, I'm very curious, and so I get to meet people for the first time, find out all the things that's going on with them, what are the goal that they wanna leave, what have they done so far, and then our whole team takes it over from that point of figuring out cost of care. We do an action roadmap to lay out the steps because usually it is what's gonna happen, but also what's the order of operation? Like, what who's on first? What am I doing? Like, if you have a care team, like my neurologist is our quarterback. So like I take action from that quarterback on who are the specialty people. That's kind of how we roll, right? Like we're that quarterback of like, cool, you need to meet with us and figure out what we're gonna fund it with. Then we're gonna figure out which lawyer's gonna set up the bucket. That's kind of all they're gonna do, right? They're gonna see you every 5 years after you set up the bucket. And I think the expectation of our view of the lawyer being like, tell us what to do is not really their job. And so they come back around and then we keep working through things as they change.
That's Thank you for explaining that. Is it? I mean, I guess you said you have people coming where their child is, younger or older. Like, I mean, do most people wait till the child's older? I mean, from what you're saying, like, what is maybe the average
Yeah.
age that they come in
Yeah.
and
It's
try to
that
figure it out?
transition planning
Right.
time talk usually. So that 14, when the teachers and your IEP starts to talk about transition planning, which is if they're going to stay in school to 22 or graduate at 18 or what is that plan, that's when you as a parent start to be like, "Oh, school's not gonna last forever." And then the next thing is like, "Oh, I'm not gonna be around forever." What like that is just one of those snowball ideas that starts to roll through people's heads at transition time, for sure. Heavy transition time, and then if we haven't engaged with them before then, it's 5 years before parent retirement, also very, like, red light urgent. Like, I'm not gonna work anymore. Does my child have healthcare outside of my work? How am I gonna fund another person? What am I actually paying for with my working dollars? Like, those are kind of the urgent red lights that we see.
Yeah. Thank you for that.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, for so my situation is My daughter, she lives with my ex-wife, so we're divorced. I mean, and
Mhm,
people have situations like me and her mother
mhm.
is her guardian. So, people with situations like me where I have life insurance or different things, is there stuff that I can do, to, help my daughter out in the situation like that where I'm not married, to her mom and, we have different opinions on stuff or how can we
Yeah,
best do that?
yeah, I think, that is very common, I would have to say. I'm not like a get divorced, but like it's very common. And so I would say, how is the communication between you? And can we plan together or are we planning separate? Right. So it would be nice to know what each other's plan is for your daughter so that we could combine those so we're not over planning, right? If it is not amicable or there's not like a communication stream, then you can plan the best that you can to provide whatever percentage you think you, the other person won't be able to, right? So like if it's 50-50, be like, okay, I have life insurance. I'm going to put it into the special needs trust because she is on benefits and I want to preserve them, right? The hard part I think is, who are you both appointing a trustee? Who's the backup guardian? Is that something we can agree on so there's less management of things for the person when you're not around? I'm a really big proponent of handing off something clean to whoever is the next coming behind us. So in a divorce, it gets a little harder if we're not in agreement, but like at least have them be able to communicate. So if we have two trusts, we have two trustees that will communicate on what is the best for the person that is the beneficiary of that trustee. I think the next guardian is usually the hardest decision maker between people that are divorced.
Yeah. No, that
Usually
makes sense.
there can be you can get a professional or you can get co-trustees from each side. There are things to structure, but same thing, like have the mindset of like, if this is passing to this group of people and they have the best interest of your daughter in their heart, this should work out. If someone is assigning someone that they know is not the best, that causes some rife, I guess.
That makes sense.
Sorry. Sorry.
Oh, you're fine. No, that makes sense. I mean, because I know a little bit. I know enough. Like, I don't want to just give my life insurance to my daughter because then that's going to
Yep.
affect her benefits. So, I mean, I know
Yep.
that much. So it's just, I mean,
Yep.
I guess what are like some, I don't know, common mistakes that, parents make
Mm,
in the planning process or things that they maybe
yeah.
think is right and aren't right that you have to correct people on.
Yeah. A couple things. One is, if you are employed by someone and you get free life insurance from that employer and you're on your 90-day and you're signing up for all your benefits and you are married, you usually put your spouse as a primary. Guess who they put as the secondary in most cases? Their all their kids, including their child with a disability. And so that is just enough money to over-resource them, but not enough to change their entire life, right? So, like, a work life insurance benefit might be my enemy, but, like, this is, like, the one like, just check your secondary beneficiaries on who your employer provided life insurance. Like, just do that tomorrow. That's an easy, like, checky box, right? Or your private, if you have private insurance on the outside, life insurance, right, through a broker. Um, the second one is, and this is some of the people that have been coming through, have been like, how much do I give if I have other dependents? Um, what's the mix? What's the best assets to put into the trust? Like that starts to get a little technical, but we are having a lot more people be like, oh, well, I don't know. I don't even know the target I'm going to throw in there. So can you help like figure that out? So that is one of our practices, is figuring out that cost of care. From the day they meet us outgoing, and then we cut it up into working years, retirement years, and then the bucket. Um, Trying to think of what else. Oh, the assumption that the lawyer is going to do all this stuff. In there, I love my lawyer partners. Like they're amazing, but they literally are like, we're creating a bucket, like we're creating a Christmas present, right? And they aren't gonna tell you what to put in that box. Those are the big ones. I think it just overall confusion of acronyms and systems and whatever state you live in, Medicaid is called something else, which makes my brain irritated. What I'm not on benefits, but then you find out it's called the Minnesota benefit for kids with disabilities thing, right? And it's actually Medicaid.
Yeah, so I mean, I also have a son, so I mean, for like the
Mm,
life insurance, is it okay? I mean, part of it is, I mean, is it okay to, have my son be the whole entire beneficiary and not give any to my daughter? Is that, do they look down upon that kind of stuff? Or I mean, it seems
I mean, I'm
simple. Way
not a
for not,
judgment person.
yeah,
I'm not gonna look down on anything, but, like, I would like to play out a scenario for you, and then one thing is I always want like, again, I wanna leave a clean path for someone, especially a sibling. So if I'm giving you all the money and you're not around anymore, how is he supposed to know what's for him and what's for her? One. That's just one scenario where I'm like, let's make this easy for him. If he is going to have a role, put it in the trust for her. He knows that money's for her benefit. There's rules around it, all of the things. The second version is like my least favorite because it assumes what if he marries someone not wonderful? That becomes joint assets. They get divorced. Those assets don't go to the benefit of your daughter. Like, that's the worst case, but, I mean, I went through a divorce when I was young, and if that would've I would've had a sibling with disability, that would've happened to me, right? So, it's not that it's out of the realm of possibilities, and, it's just giving him more work. I don't wanna give him more work, like, put it in the bucket that is for her, make sure he knows the roles, the jobs, how it's gonna work if you want him to have a job, but don't give him more than he needs.
no, I mean,
You're already you're already gone. He's already
right.
sad, and now his sister needs some help, and she's gonna be very sad and grieving, and that's going to be a whole 'nother chapter for her to endure, so, like, don't make him do more work.
Yeah, no, those are great points. I had not thought about that piece of it. So yeah, thank you for those things.
Yeah. Yeah, we take that sibling
Yeah,
relationship pretty seriously, whatever the roles are gonna be, but, like, we try and keep them siblings as long as possible.
yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Do you maybe want to briefly explain like what a special needs trust is and what an able account is and like what's the difference?
Yeah, yeah. So that is one of the questions we get. Why would I need both? What are they? Right. So um an able is set up, almost all the states have their own system. So it's federally mandated, all the states should have their own able. So it is actually like if you are familiar with college savings 529s, it's like a 529A actually is what it's actually built as. So an able account, we use it as an operating account. So it is really helpful and useful for our families that want to give their loved one with a disability some autonomy. They come with a prepaid card system usually depending on the state, but you can load money on that card. They can do some spending at Special Olympics bowling. Once the money's spent, it doesn't get overdrafted. It doesn't get, nothing bad happens once the money's gone. It just acts like a prepaid card. It is a good place to put monies that are the persons with the disability. So I'll use my daughter Ruth. Let's say she's working at Mod Pizza, making $2,000 a month, and she's getting 1,000 from Social Security. Okay, 3,000 into our household, and we need to stay below $2,000 a month. Okay, from first of the month to the end of the month. She pays me $500 in support because she's living in my home, and so we still have $500 we have to do something with, and she's not spending it down. We're gonna shovel 500 into the able, and that is all above board. Everybody knows about it, and we can save towards bigger things that she might need to purchase down the line. Cool. It is a little of a random amount of things you can use an able for, but we really use it for the person with the disabilities if they're getting over resourced to shove money into there to stay under $2,000 in their name directly.
They
Okay.
can access it under 18 or that's only for when after they turn 18?
Any age you
Okay.
can have. Yep,
Cool.
and they just changed the age of diagnosis to 46. So if you have a diagnosis before age 46, ABLE is open to everybody. And the vets and the Brain Injury Alliance were pretty big in that because adults that have traumatic brain injuries and veterans were like, I would really like to leverage an ABLE, but they didn't have a diagnosis before 46. So that just changed in January. So it's a really good change for us. Has a contribution limit. So there is a contribution limit to enable, which is $20,000. So this is the reason we don't put our major assets into there. So as parent caregivers, right, like your life insurance, you're going to want to dump that into a special needs trust. One, because Enable can't accept it. And two, you just need a different structure for that. Okay. So I say the ABLE, I really use that for people's, and you're like, well, my child's not going to work. Like they might not have those. Social Security changes over time depending on what system they're on. So they might get over $2,000 depending on what Social Security system they're on, including when you start to pull, right? So you might find yourself always in a spot where you actually need that overflow, regardless if they're working or not. And then the special needs trust, like I said, it's a Christmas present. So imagine as a box with wrapping paper around it. You could put, it's not an account, you put stuff in the box, right? So your life insurance is going to pay out. It's going to have an account inside of there that life insurance is going to get deposited into. Okay. And that wrapping paper around the box says, hey, federal and state benefits, this does not count as an asset for the person. Okay. Has a trustee that allows the amounts to go out according to what's written into the trust documents. So they're always at the very top of those trust documents is to preserve the person's benefits. So they won't do a distribution that will over resource them.
Yeah. And is
I
this
think
stuff, these are anybody can fund these? So like grandparents could put money into either thing, or is that,
yeah. So I do like everyone else in the world to contribute to the trust. The ABLE, just because it does have that contribution limit, who's keeping track? How are you knowing if you're close to the $20,000? And let's say for some random thing happens down the road, it's like September 20th, and your child gets 10 grand from Aunt blah, 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 because she passed away and named out your child accidentally. You want space in that for any of those whoopsies. So you could throw $10,000 into the ABLE like that, very easy without having to structure a trust. Okay. So I tell grandparents have great intentions and just not the best execution because they want an easy thing in their estate, right? They want to be like 10% of my estate goes to all current and future grandkids. Love that for like the lawyers that write up the documents. But for us that have kiddos that are on benefits, you have to carve out a certain section and name out your trust directly. That's the one thing we can avoid. Let's avoid it. We can't avoid all the things, but inadvertent inheritance is one we can avoid, but it takes hard conversations with that upstream.
yeah, those are all great tips. Thank you so much.
Yeah, totally.
What is one tip you can share to help our listeners be more inclusive today? So just something anybody can start doing today to be more inclusive.
I'm going to go back to the original answer, like assume positive intent, like assume somebody has the best of intentions until they don't, right? And then recognizing when there's a tension between a similarity and a difference. Like, I think most of us can recognize it, and you might have like you said, you witnessed a debate that was respectful. Like, I think you can recognize a tension, but how are you going to react? Are you going to have your ego be hurt? And that's something that's your core value. And you're going to take that and just like be like, this is the way that I think, and I'm not going to accept anything else. Or are you going to be like, oh, yeah, that makes a lot of sense for Aaron and the history he's been through and the things that he sees. Like, I'm not going to be in that camp, but like Aaron can be in that camp. Like, good for you. That's awesome. I don't have to live in that camp either, but I can respect that you want to and know that that's the best for you, and it doesn't have to be the best for me.
Yeah. It's awesome. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah.
I look like you have a book coming out soon. Do you want to talk about your book and who it's intended
Tomorrow.
for? And tomorrow.
Tomorrow.
Okay.
Well, depends when it's
Yeah.
published. Yeah.
Tomorrow from when I'm recording this, it'll be yeah. By the time
Yeah,
this is out,
exactly.
it'll be out.
Yeah, so we are really big on accessibility to us, right? So, um, not everybody is going to be at this level that our clients are, right? So we have a business. We make money this way, right? And so we have certain levels and we want everybody to be access the information even if they're not our client. So we have our level of service. We have actually a we call it the special needs master class. So there is a monthly subscription you can DIY, and then we wrote a book. So like we're trying to at least disperse the information the best possible we can to whatever way you want to absorb it, right? And whatever you can pay in whatever way, right? So I think socioeconomical could be a way to, have inclusion. And so like I didn't grow up with a lot, but I want to make sure everyone has access to the information if because we don't get to get out of the planning. Even if you don't have a lot of money, you could still over resource your child because that limit is so low. So we want it to be accessible.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Yeah.
If there's one thing you hope listeners take away from your story, what would it be?
Mm, I wasn't ready for that.
It
Yeah.
was like I didn't give this to you ahead of time, so you can't plan out the answer.
No, I like it. Wait, can you say that one more time?
If there's one thing you hope listeners take away from your story, what would it be?
Our differences matter. I think this is like the troll story, right? Our differences matter and we don't need to assimilate to all be the same. But in order for us to be respectful, we have to acknowledge that we are different and not think that that's a bad thing.
Where's the best place for everybody to connect with you?
Oh yeah. Allneedsplanning.com is our website. We are on all the socials. So I am working momming it forward. Kind of sums me up well. On Instagram, we're on Facebook. We have our own Facebook group. So anybody can pop in there if they want more community or ask hard questions. It's a closed group. We are doing, all of the conference tours. So we speak a lot at conferences. Specifically, mine are a lot of rare diseases because that's what my daughter has. So we're on a speaking tour this summer, I would say, I would call it. But yeah, if you follow us on socials, you'll be able to see all the things that we have going on.
Ready for the last question?
Oh, I think so.
Do you like spam lunch meat? Yes or no?
Oh man, I have a love hate with spam. I went to a university that was 30% Hawaiian.
Okay.
So I don't know if it was like a forced, like you're gonna eat this whether you like it or not, version, but I had a time in my life, wonderful 2 years where I ate a fair amount of spam. So I could say that I did it and that was wonderful for the time, and I'm not as into it now.
It's all good.
You?
We usually eat it twice a year. So the reason we live near Austin, Minnesota, where they make spam and where the spam museum is located. So I've been asking everybody just to see what the reaction is. So, but yeah, Hawaii is a big thing. It's yeah, I think it's from the war. Like it's all over the place. My girlfriend went there a couple years ago. She sends me a picture of a pallet of spam in Walmart, and I'm like, we live in the town where they make it, and we don't even have pallets of spam in the store. So
It's
they,
legit. Like they're like I remember them like when they're first freshmen, I'm like, we're at the cafeteria,
yeah,
right? And I'm like, yeah, we're having taco bars, so there's like ground beef and there's chicken and there's pork, and they're like, Where's the spam?" And I'm like, "That's not in the taco day of mix. We just have it with eggs in the morning,
yeah,
though. We had it today once already. So this is the these are the different proteins,"
that's
and they're
funny.
like skeptical. I was like, "Okay."
That's funny. Yeah, but it's been interesting. Yeah, if you ever wanna the Spam Museum's fun, so if you ever wanna visit, it's in Southern Minnesota, so yeah.
So I did for some reason, I did not I have no idea where that was made. There was, like, no that needs to be my curious brain to be like, "Where is Spam made?"
Yeah. Yep. Hormel from like one of the world wars, they came up with it and that's where it started and that's where Hormel's located, southern Minnesota. So yeah.
Alright, new fact for me. I got it.
You learned something today, now you can go home. Right. Well, thank you so much for being on the show. I appreciate it.
Aaron, thanks for having me. This has been a great start to my day.
Thank you. To those listening, thank you for allowing me to be part of your journey. It is truly an honor. Please join the podcast newsletter by clicking on the link in the episode description to keep up with the latest episodes. Together, we can make the world more inclusive. Until next time, stay empowered and be a champion for inclusion.